Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a concept that's, well, at the heart of our entire economy. We're talking about the theory of demand. So, to get us started, let's look at a real-world problem. Picture this. You're the CEO of a company. Let's call it Aroma Tea Limited. And you've got this big question hanging over your head. Is our big bet on this new green tea actually going to pay off? Are people going to buy it? And this isn't just a puzzle for big-shot CEOs. The answer gets at the heart of why we buy what we buy. It's all about these powerful forces of demand that shape our decisions every single day. All right, let's get into it. So to help out our tea CEO, we've got to start with the basics. What do economists actually mean when they say demand? Okay, so here's the key. It's not just about wanting something. It's about being willing and able to buy it. I mean, you might desire a fancy sports car, right? But you only create actual economic demand for it if you've got the cash and you're ready to hand it over. It's desire plus purchasing power. That's the magic formula. All right, so with that definition in our back pocket, let's get to the first, most fundamental rule of the game. This is all about the relationship between what something costs and how much of it people want to buy. It's called the law of demand. And honestly, it's something we all kind of know instinctively, right? When the price of something goes up, we buy less of it. When the price falls, we buy more. It's this simple inverse relationship. And you can see this play out perfectly in a simple chart, like this one for ice cream. Look at this. When a cup costs 60 rupees, nobody's buying. But as that price drops, down to 50, 40, 30, all the way down to just 10 rupees, suddenly, people are buying 10 cups a week. The relationship is crystal clear. And when you plot that data on a graph, you get this classic image. This is the demand curve. See how it slopes downward? That's the law of demand in visual form. As the price, on that vertical line, goes down, the quantity people want, on the horizontal line, goes up. Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. And maybe a little tricky. What happens when something besides the price changes? This is a super important distinction, and it's key to seeing how markets really work. So you've got two different things that can happen. A change in the product's price, that just causes a movement along the curve we already have. But a change in some other outside factor, like your income, that causes the entire curve to shift to a new spot. Movement versus shift. That's the big takeaway here. Let's take apples, for instance. If the price of apples goes down, what happens? We just slide down along the demand curve we're already on. We're buying more apples, sure, but our basic feeling about apples hasn't changed. But what if a new study comes out saying apples are a superfood that will make you live forever? Well, now suddenly everyone wants more apples, no matter what the price is. Our whole attitude has changed, and that means the entire demand curve shifts over to the right. That is what economists call a true increase in demand. So now we know demand can change. But for a business, that's only half the battle. The next massive question is, by how much? This leads us to a really cool concept called elasticity. Basically, how stretchy is demand? How much does it react when you change the price? And let me tell you, for any business, this isn't just some boring textbook term. Getting this right is the difference between making a ton of money and, well, not. Think of it like this. Is the demand for your product stiff, almost vertical, like a wall? That means a price change doesn't really affect how much people buy. Or is it super stretchy, almost flat, like a rubber band, where even a tiny change in price makes demand snap back or stretch way out? You can see the difference in these two graphs. So what kind of things are inelastic or stiff? Well, think about necessities. Stuff like salts or medicine you have to take. You're going to buy it pretty much no matter what the price does. On the other hand, stretchy or elastic demand is for things with lots of options, like a specific brand of headphones or a fancy meal out. If the price goes up a little, you can easily just pick something else. And for a business, this is everything. Raised prices on an inelastic good, your revenue goes up. Try that with an elastic good, whoosh, your customers disappear and your revenue tanks. Okay, so we've covered price and how stretchy demand can be. But what about those other factors, the ones that can shift the entire curve? Let's break those down. Yeah, these are the big ones. Any one of these can totally change the game for a product, and it has nothing to do with the price tag itself. Okay, let's start with a classic. Substitutes. Think coffee and tea. If the price of coffee suddenly goes through the roof, what happens? A lot of people are going to say, you know what? I'm switching to tea. And boom, The demand curve for tea shifts to the right. And then you have the opposite, which are complements, things that go together, like cars and gasoline. If the price of gas skyrockets, all of a sudden, those big, gas-guzzling SUVs don't look so appealing, do they? So the demand for them drops, and their whole demand curve shifts to the left. So let's bring it all back home to our CEO at Aroma Tea. With all this knowledge, he can build a real strategy. He's not just thinking about price anymore. Now he's asking the right questions. How much does the price of coffee affect our sales? Are the people who buy our tea getting richer? And is green tea a must-have necessity or a nice-to-have luxury? That tells him how elastic it is. And really, this isn't just about tea. This framework, this way of thinking, applies to literally everything you buy. So the next time you see a price change or a new product launch, you can ask yourself, am I just moving along the curve, or is the entire market shifting right under my feet? Once you start seeing it, you can't unsee the hidden economic forces that are shaping our world.